I'm very much into blockchain gaming, and I see this happening. How all the NFTs that have perks besides the art, they raise in value. And I wanted to know if it's possible to add to the POAP any function that being like a loyalty card that, for example, if I have a project, let's say with Game Guys, which is the one I'm developing, and I want to develop like a loyalty club and reward the community members by collecting these POAPs. Is there a way, like a POAP reader, where I can reward my community for gathering X or Y POAPs?
Yeah, so first and foremost, thank you very much for your support. Again, we are making this for people like you, for people that get it, for people that understand why this is important. Because as you mentioned, the art space sometimes has gotten so much attention that it looks like it's the only thing you could do with NFTs. And the truth is that art is only a minor component of the whole vision. Art is just graphics, a certificate of much for your support again, but the idea of NFTs holding actual value has way more application than just art. So I like that you share our vision, and we come with you on growth. Going exactly to your question, I think there are a couple of things to cover. We are building a protocol, and we are designing its qualities every day. And it's very challenging for us to come up with the scope to decide what POAPs are good fits for and what aren't. Sometimes people come to us and say, I want to make a POAP for the person that runs the fastest on my group. And I tell them that's not what POAP is for. POAP has to be for events. It has to happen that when you see a POAP, you know what that POAP is about. You know when, or you can see the date when it was issued. It has to resemble to an event. It has to be a bookmark. It can be an arbitrary reward. If what you want to do is rewards, you may just have to use any other NFT that it's not even related. That said, we are doing POAP for the people, and sometimes we get feedback that make us change our course. And this is happening, for example, with animated POAPs. When we started, we didn't want to have animated POAPs because they would make the experience too heavy. Like if you have 500 POAPs, and many people do have 500 POAPs, and each one, because they have animations and anyone can upload anything. Let's say that each one has 10 megabytes of size, and you have 500 POAPs. The user experience of downloading your collection would mean that maybe you had to wait an hour or two for downloading 5,000 megabytes. And we were very reluctant to have animated POAPs. Lately, we got so much feedback from all corners about having animated POAPs that we are enabling them. Even we believe they might not be the best way, they might be detrimental for the user experience. We will still do it because it's what our community wants, and maybe someday we can find a solution for having heavy images that still don't slow down the experience. Point being here, if what you want to use POAP for, those being rewards for loyalty or things like that we don't yet cover, that might change in the future. We don't know where POAP is going to go. It's changing quickly. With the pandemic crisis starting to slowing down and the future looking brighter, we have to accommodate newer use cases. So we remain very open-minded about doing new features. Particularly what you proposed about having the ability to scan a collection and issuing another non-fungible token based on that. that I think poses no challenge for POAP. Anyone could build that. It doesn't even need to be us. Because that's another important thing to mention. We want POAP to be permissionless, meaning that anyone is invited to do POAP, anyone is invited to build on top of POAP. So maybe there's a functionality that you want POAP to have, like this ability of scanning existing collections and rewarding users based on their holdings. And maybe someone else gets to build it, and they pull the data from the blockchain or from our API, which is pretty much the same thing, and they build those custom solutions. So that's definitely a possibility. And something that I want to stress, because we mention this frequently, but it's never too much. Anyone can create a POAP as long as it is for an event. If you're having a birthday party, you can have a POAP. If you have a private Discord and you hang out with 10 friends of you every week, you can have a POAP for that week, for that weekly event. Sometimes we might be a little slow because we haven't fully automated the link issuance system, but still we encourage everyone that runs events to use POAP, and we encourage people that attend events that don't have POAP to just nag the organizers, letting them know that they should have POAP. There's no reason for not doing so. The experience gets so much nicer, and maybe we need your help. If you really want every event you go to have POAP, maybe it's on you to let them know that they can have it. Sometimes there are people not using POAP because they think they can't afford it, and it is free, and they just had the assumption that you had to pay, and you don't. We are very lucky that we use the XDAI network, and that we were ready with the XDAI network before the gas prices surged. So we can offer a nice NFT experience, which is pretty close to the real deal of the mainnet experience at no costs. And on that side, speaking about XDAI, we are also working on a Polygon deployment, because Polygon has equally low fees. Like minting POAPs on Polygon, it's pretty much free. And at the same time, it has much wider adoption. So if we had POAPs in Polygon, we could have native integration with other Polygon-based products, and that would be nice. Mind that all these promises that I make, a new mobile app, POAP.events, POAP in Polygon, and new stuff, they are all subject to development resources scarcity, and it's quite hard to find builders and to get the stuff built. So bear with us for these promises. Also, the Decentraland headquarters, bear with us if we don't deliver too quickly. At the same time, while we get all these things built, we also have to keep the existing platform running, making sure that every time you have a poker night or every time you're having an event, existing POAP platform works. And as many here must know, we are extremely early on the Metaverse NFT space, and everything we want to build takes much more than what anyone could have wanted. So again, this would be my way to say, I'm promising lots of stuff, but please curb your enthusiasm, because this might take slightly longer than what we want, or maybe even longer than what we are making it look like it's going to take. But again, thank you very much for your support. And once again, this could be a good time for making any question that you could have.
Thank you very much for your answer, bro.
My pleasure. And if you want to explore your particular use case privately, feel free to reach out to me. This is also something that I want to make clear. I'm constantly in contact with community members. POAP is a community initiative on itself. We don't believe in top-down management. Anytime you want to explore doing anything with POAP, you can reach to any of us, me or other POAP team members. We are very active on our Discord. We don't leave any message answered. Sometimes the answers might not be the most satisfying because it can happen that the answer is we can't do that, but we try to answer anything. So if you want to use POAP for something, don't assume that it's silly. Don't assume that it might be too expensive. Don't assume that you can't do it, because you probably can. We are making POAP for all, and we hope that this pretty fun experience Decentral Games has created, this idea that you can be sure that there is a POAP every time you are part of an event. We want to be replicated in many other communities. We come with you. We need your help. We couldn't do this on our own. One fun thing is that the person in charge of the POAPs in Decentral Games was a POAP collector before Decentral Games existed, and it was him single-handedly that made POAPs possible on Decentral Games. So it can totally happen that you are a collector and life takes you in a way where you become the POAP master of a community. These things happen. There shouldn't be a gap between the community and POAP. We want the product to be the same thing. We want to be ingrained. If someday we lose this close contact with the community, we have failed on our mission. We really want POAP to be a product for communities by communities. In a way, the way Discord is these days, I mentioned this because we are all using Discord right now. If you are listening this, you are using Discord. And a couple of weeks ago, or maybe a month now, there was some worry that Discord was going to be acquired by Microsoft. And that was really worrying because it would have lost its soul. Discord is such a nice product to use because it is made by the community. It was made by its users. And we want POAP to follow the same spirit. We want POAP to be a global scale product, a product that's used on every corner of every country, that still keeps the community spirit. And even more ambitiously, we would like it to be a place for local communities to nurture themselves on their own terms. For example, we have a challenge now that many communities are using POAP in China, and it's extremely hard or even impossible for us to understand how they are using it, why they are using it. We don't know if they like collecting things or if they are told that they will make money, but that's the spirit. It's like, it doesn't matter where you are, it doesn't matter what your community is, you are worthy of issuing POAPs. So again, if anyone runs events, feel free to reach out to us and we will explain you how to start doing your own POAPs. It's a really easy process and it doesn't cost you anything, and it makes your attendees much happier. Any other question? Maybe our host Marv wants to ask something since we are all here.
Yeah, that's 2 questions just in case.
Yeah,
Please.
go for it.
One question is on the POAP site right now, it's really cool and it's displayed by year. Will there ever be a future where people can organize their POAPs? Like, for example, they want to organize all the ones they got at Decentral Land Games, and then they also want to organize another section where they got the ones in real life, like you were talking about. Would that ever be something you guys do or no?
Yes, it's a pressing need. We need to make something like this. I don't want to say urgently, but it's desperately needed. Me personally, I hold like 200 POAPs, and sometimes I want to find something and I have to keep scrolling. And if I could just sort and filter by whether it was in person or virtual or decentralized or crypto voxels, it's sorely needed. I wish we could have done that earlier. Still, maybe that functionality doesn't come to the desktop and it's only for the mobile application. That I can't tell exactly, depends on development pipelines, but it's definitely something we need. It's something every POAP collector wants to have.
Very cool. And then the last question I had was, what was the first POAP ever made, and can we see a picture of it?
Yeah, because they have serial numbers, and you can go into the block explorer like Etherscan. You can see the first batch, and I'm sorry to disappoint, but let me explain the story how it happened, because there's no such thing as a first POAP or as a second POAP because of how we were born, and I can easily explain this. We started this at a hackathon named East Denver, and this hackathon are like software development competitions. You have to put together a piece of software over the course of a weekend in teams of not more than 4 people, and what we wanted to believe was very ambitious, what we wanted to build. So we put together what was a primitive version of POAP, and the smart contracts we use were like boilerplate. They didn't have any customization, and we just like took them from the library and applied it to our project. And the whole first generation of POAPs, I think it's maybe 700 or so, we had to rewrite because this smart contract was too limited, and we needed some upgrade functionality to add new things and functionalities and features. When we migrated the second generation of POAPs, which is the one we use now, those 700s, which are like the whole Genesis set, they all got shuffled. So the number you got on the serial number now, it's not accurate. The chronology to the time where they were minted. The earliest ones, like the top 10 POAPs, the POAP from ID 1 to ID 10, the original contract were most of us team members, because we were 4 of us and we were testing a platform, so we mint ourselves the East Denver POAP. And then we used some wallets of which we don't even have the private keys. And then we asked people that were sitting around us if they were willing to try it. And we may have issued 10 or 20 POAPs, people that don't know who they are, and most of them are lost forever because they didn't take them seriously, or maybe they lost the private keys. So it's quite a pity, but it's also exciting that every once in a while we see one of these Genesis POAPs, those whose IDs are only 3 digits, like a 400 something POAP, we see them moving and merging with a larger collection, and we discover, this must have been someone that was at Denver and has found it on a lost pocket, and now it's merging it with their collection. So this is very exciting, but unfortunately there is no canonical answer to who holds the initial POAPs.
Thank you.
Well, there's something funny also. There's a good friend of us, Mariano Conti. Mariano Conti is from Buenos Aires, as I am, so we see each other frequently. And when POAP became popular, we discovered that he had POAP number 9, and he started bragging around because it was true that he was really early on us. But then we discovered that that number 9 was on the second contract,
POAP.
and on the first contract, it was like number 21 or so, or 21st. Did someone ask something? I heard something about POAP. Okay, I don't know. If you have any question, feel free to interrupt me. So there's no easy way to tell. We like the mystery, and it is what it is. So a couple more alpha leaks.
And right now, as they're one of that to be here.
Sorry, I didn't get you well.
Yeah, was that a question or just an open line?
Sounds just like background noise to me.
Okay. So if any of you is coming to Miami or is around Miami for the BTC conference or any of the satellite events, there are many events that have POAP. Some of them I don't even know where they are or what they are about. But we also have our own POAP of the whole blockchain week. So look after us. This could be a nice POAP to have if you have many of digital events, because when someone has lots of POAPs of digital events, it still have this issue that it is said nobody on the internet knows that you are a dog. But once you put a POAP that was of an in-person event, your collection is more credible. It is clear that you are not a farmer, you are not a POAP hunter, or maybe you are a POAP hunter, but still, you couldn't have gotten 2 POAPs of the in-person event, or you shouldn't have, maybe it could happen. And you couldn't have 2 collections that have both physical and virtual POAPs to validate 2 identities. So if anyone is around Miami or the area, follow us on Twitter. We plan on releasing what we will be handing out these special POAPs. And good luck to meet fan of Decentral Games and us in person.
I will
I would say
definitely
there's
join you. I need to get my
there's
first
like
in-person POAP. I'm excited.
yeah, and it does feel nice. The feeling, I have many in-person POAPs because POAP started in early 2019, and we had like 6 months before or 9 months before the pandemic, and in-person POAPs have a stronger meaning because the virtuality, you don't take much effort to join a call or a Discord, or maybe you still do, but when you travel somewhere, it's like your passport stamp, and it has such a strong meaning that I really encourage people to get in-person POAPs. Even if I am not there, there are people running in-person events with POAP in New York City, in London, in Toronto, I think, Canada. So if you ever stumble upon the opportunity of getting an in-person POAP, don't miss it because it's really nice. It's a nice addition. Someday we want to distinguish those that have collections with in-person POAPs, because we know that there are like phony collectors. There are accounts hold tens or hundreds of POAPs, and we know they belong to the same person. We just can't stop that. We don't think it matters, because for us what matters is making our collectors happy. And if you're happy because you got your token, it doesn't matter if someone else has 2 other accounts holding that token, because they matter to you. As expressions of culture, which is what all NFTs are. NFTs are for me expressions of culture. They have to matter to the holder, and not to third parties. So we don't worry about farmers. We don't worry too much about this POAP hunting thing. We kind of incentivize it by putting this feed functionality on our Discord. We rather have more people claiming more POAPs than less people, because we are trying to stop farmers. Farmers will exist. it's abuse. Abuse is part of the human nature. This phrasing, this is why we can't have nice things, exists for a reason. But in our case, we aren't discouraged. The thing that some people may farm POAPs, it doesn't discourage that for some others. The idea of getting that token, it's a pleasant experience and a nice way to keep a record of a nice pastime. So well, I ended up explaining, if anyone here is farming POAPs, be sure that you are not discouraging us. We don't know what you do it. If you think that you will make money out of that, that's on you. I don't even know if I want you to not make money. If any organizer does an airdrop using POAP, and that happens, there were several ICO projects and others that have distributed tokens based on POAP holdings. They have to be careful on picking a set of POAPs that set apart who's a human and who's running multiple accounts. But again, those farmers running multiple accounts, in a way, we believe they are so passionate about collecting POAPs that they are willing to put up with all the effort it takes for running multiple accounts and abusing the Discord bot and abusing the Decentraland vending machine. So in a way, we like you too. We like you, POAP farmer. We even want your feedback about how POAP could be better, because if you are so obsessed about collecting so many POAPs, you very likely have lots of information we want to have to make a better product. So if any of you it's an active farmer, raise your hand and be sure that we don't want to kick you out. We want to work with you for making a nicer experience for collectors.
I love that approach. That's a really, really cool way to look at it.
Hey, Patricio, I got a question.
Yes, please, Manamania.
Okay, hey. Will POAP get GIF or video support in the future?
Of what support?
GIF.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I explained this earlier. I said at the beginning we weren't going to, because that could have a slowed down the whole experience, because animated files are way heavier in size. But it does look like it's something the community wants so much that we will be doing it. Yeah, actually, there are some animated POAPs out there. CoinGecko is going to release a nice one like next week, I think. But the idea, yes, the plan is for allowing anyone to have an animated POAP. Maybe what we do, it's slightly upgrading the POAP creation process. So we would say upload a still image besides the animated one. So if someone has a low power device or a section, maybe they can still load the stills and maybe.
Oh yeah, so there's a fallback image, kind of.
Yeah, that's pretty much the idea. Yes.
Okay.
That's the way we want it to be, and it could happen. And this is still experimental. POAP doesn't make any money, and for now we are covering all our costs. In the future, we need to find some revenue streams, but we still want the core protocol to be free for everyone. So maybe we do some sort of freemium model where if you want to have the full-blown animated image with the fallback and such, maybe that requires the issuer paying something or so. But it's also connected to what the Waifumon guy proposed, that we need to have a sorting functionality. So maybe on the mobile app you can say, don't display animations, or always display animations, or only if they are up to this size. So yeah, this is explored. I hope the next time I come to this meetup, we have animated POAPs already. because it's been on our backlog for months now. I feel like I'm in depth the community about animated POAPs.
Like the
Awesome,
whole
thank
fact
you.
of the. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just said thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So like, I like the whole fact of the whole animated POAP, and I like how you're trying to do it to the fact of if you have low power, for instance, if you're on your phone, that is just a still image. And since that you are pretty much getting this for free, of course, you know, like what's the purpose of trying to sell it right now? I'll like to see where this would go the next meeting to maybe have an animated one to kind of give us a little clue. I wouldn't mind paying, you know, a little bit just to get a nice little animated POAP because you do receive a free POAP just for attending the meeting, but actually having an animated one is a pretty cool one, you know. So for instance, this one, just because we discussed it, if we're able to make this an animated one, let's say is new, so like a month or two later down the road, I would definitely.
The particular POAP of this event has already been published, so we couldn't do it for that one. But surely, being Decentral Games, our most important community, you can be sure that you will be the first to enjoy this functionality whenever we release it. It's just for now, just to set expectations too. On our development pipeline, the newer mobile apps are the most important things. And maybe this is not too important for you because when you use Decentraland or when you play a game on Decentral Games, you are already on a desktop computer. So for you, this doesn't matter. But for most POAP issuers out there, you don't have a computer handy. And the idea of a mobile app, it's really a leap ahead on user experience. So this is why we aren't focusing on the functionalities stage. But again, bear with us. If we are building a collecting platform humans will use at global scale in every country, we have to have all those features. It could be like even WhatsApp had to add the functionality for playing messages at twice the speed, which is something they were asked for years. And it is our ambition to become an application as big as WhatsApp and not only on size, but on significance. For people on the ground, having access to WhatsApp or Telegram is a fundamental piece for their well-beings. It is what they use for connecting to their loved ones. It is what they use for working. And we want POAP to be equally significant on people. We want POAP to be the showcase, the gallery of your best times. And who wouldn't like the idea of having an application that makes you remember when you had a good time? And this isn't something we have invented it. This exists before in a way by Facebook, and earlier there was this social network called Foursquare, which was the main inspiration for us. When we started POAP, we said to ourselves, we need to make Foursquare, but in the blockchain. Because what happened to Foursquare is that at a point they weren't making enough money or something wasn't going well for their management, and they spun off the application you use for collecting the check-ins and badges, and they started a new product called Swarm, and that was never the same. And people didn't move to Swarm, and they ended up losing all their what would be all their POAPs. They lost their badges, and we said to ourselves, we need to make Foursquare, but because the badges are NFTs, you can be sure that they will never be gone. And I don't know why I was explaining this, but I think it was loosely connected to something else we were saying. And I think we have 5 minutes. So again, if you if you have any question, this is a good time. Something that happens, the reason why people don't ask many questions is because we are always open to answering questions. So it's not that you need to wait for the opportunity we come to a meetup. At any time, anyone could ask anything.
I had a quick question about the Gen 1 versus Generation 2. So the initial Generation 1, were those the ones that were all on Ethereum? And then Gen 2 was when it went to XDAI?
The whole first gen is on Ethereum, yes. And most of the second gen until ID number 10 or 20,000 were on Ethereum. It was unrelated, the reason why
Okay.
we switch contracts. The first gen POAPs they are all for most of them for in-person events, and those events were East Denver, which is a very cool hackathon that I recommend everyone attending if you are around Colorado. Then we went to HCC, which was a very nice event in France. And it's happening again in July, so it's also a very cool event that I recommend attending. From there, we went to Sydney and issued many POAPs in EdCon, because what needs to be understood of why all the early POAPs are of Ethereum events, it's like when we started doing NFTs, the whole interfaces, all the interfaces for using NFTs, they were all too clunky, and you needed to be a developer or to use a very specific wallet, because it took time until wallets started supporting NFTs. So we mostly focused on events where there were developers, and that's why all those Genesis POAPs are in hands of developers that went to hackathons. There were a couple sales, but normally all those holders, those developers, they don't want to part ways, because those are their collections. They really want to have them with them, and also most of them are pretty rich now, because if they were developers during the bear market, like in 18, 19, and they got their POAPs on those conferences, most of them have done very well on farming on DeFi or doing investments. So it's not that there is much trading of Genesis POAPs. They are pretty still. You can see them in OpenSea. If you go to OpenSea or even to POAP Gallery and sort by issuance date, many of them have ENS names. You can see who the owners are, and sorry, I needed to sneeze. You can see who the owners are, and it's clear what they don't sell. It's like they are prod holders of Genesis POAPs.
Very interesting. So
Yeah.
I think I have like 20, 25 Genesis ones that aren't going anywhere.
Where do you? But have we met?
No, well, maybe not Genesis 1, but they were all on Ethereum from some of the early
Oh.
Decentral Games stuff.
Nice. So I thought when you said Genesis, it's like I know most of the Genesis holders, because on those days, the only way for you to know that POAPs were a thing was by talking to me. So I was thinking like how have you managed to have a Genesis POAP without talking to me?
Maybe I was using the wrong terminology. I have some of the early ones from Ethereum. Maybe not the original Genesis.
You know, anyone, maybe this I haven't made clear. Every POAP on XDAI can be easily moved to mainnet and become like a purebred POAP on mainnet. It's just slightly too expensive. It might cost like $20, but anyone can migrate their POAPs to mainnet, and we encourage people for doing so. We don't make any money out of that. The $20 that takes for moving a POAP to mainnet, it's just on mining fees that goes to miners. But that's a real, I would say, the most pure NFT experience. There are some NFT people that have this vision that NFTs are only real if they live on Ethereum. I don't completely agree with that. But the canonical definition of what constitutes non-fungible token and what not, it's not clear. our NFTs on XDAI work pretty well. People are happy with them. They create these feelings of joy that we want them to create. So I would say we are good. And same could we say of Polygon.
Yeah, no, I thought that was just the timing too with the gas. Like, it'd be really difficult to collect these if you're paying $25 a pop.
Yeah, some people still like those in the art circles. They are so used to minting on mainnet that they normally do so, but that we don't want POAP to be only for the rich. We want it to be for everyone. So for us, it is a no-brainer to have this hybrid method where you can mint for free, and only those that really want, for whatever reason, to move it to mainnet, to migrate it. And there are some environmental concerns as well that I share. It is true that POAPs on mainnet have a carbon footprint that's worrying. It's outrageous. The costs, the environment of mining proof of work assets like Ether. So I kind of like the idea that collecting POAPs doesn't have to mean destroying the environment like with other NFTs.
That's great. Such a cool project. Well, we are at the top of the hour. Is there anything else you would like to close with?
Well, I will to again mention that I really like working with this community. I love bringing these experiences. I'm always looking for feedback and new ideas. So please stay in touch and keep doing what you were doing, which is what we want you to do, and hopefully we will be doing what you want us to do, which is providing collecting experiences.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today. This hour went by really fast.
You're right, bro.
We wish everyone a very nice day. And again, if someone is around Florida or Miami, follow us on Twitter and we will drop the information about how to get the in-person POAP.
Awesome. I'm from Tampa, Florida. So you'll be hearing from me, brother.
Thank you, Patricio.
Thank
Looking
you
forward
for
to meet
coming
you
out.
all.
Very nice meeting you, bro. Thank you.
Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you all for coming out. This was great.
Just one last thing, my friend, for contact, because I really want to talk to you about this gaming thing. Can I contact you by Telegram or Discord?
Telegram and Discord are both fine. I would say Discord is more organized because Telegram is full of spam and groups. So Discord, and my username is right on your screen, so you can message me right here.
What part of Florida did you say again? What part of Florida? Because I'm from Tampa. What part of Florida?
This is all happening in Miami. There's
Miami?
lots of there's the BTC conference, and there's like 10 different events about NFTs. The website I'm using for following them is nft.tips, and I think it's going to be on one of those events. But again, I have no affiliation with them, so I don't want to raise your expectations about how they are. I mean, I expect them to be cool, but I can't tell.
No, you're good. It was pretty cool just to hear about it, just because you said if anyone's like in Florida, and I'm from Tampa, so it's kind of funny because Miami, I was just there like not that long ago. But thanks again, brother. It was a very good conference. I really enjoyed it. Thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone.